How do you know if you're actually saving enough money or saving too much? Because we've all had the same money advice, save 10%, save 20%. But honestly, that advice is outdated and it slows a lot of people down. The real danger isn't not saving enough, it's saving the wrong amount for the season you're in. I see people earning 40, 60, even 100k struggling to save, not because they're bad with money, but because the cost of living is high, so the old money rules don't work anymore. And I'll be honest, I followed the 20% saving rule too, and it actually held me back. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how much you should save each month based on your financial season, not a random percentage. Plus you'll learn how to save money faster, why oversaving can become dangerous, and I'll give you a savings framework you can start using today. Let's get into it. How much should you save? So how much should you actually save each month? Here's the truth. It's not 10%, it's not 20%, it's not a random number you'll hear online. Your savings rate actually depends on two things, your goal and your current financial season. Let's break it down. To determine how much you should save, ask yourself this question. What am I saving for? Are you saving for an emergency fund, getting your finances stable, a holiday, a property deposit? If that's you, then saving 10 to 20% of your income is realistic and makes sense. But if you're financially stable and trying to build wealth, you might want to move from saving to investing because saving alone won't build wealth. I'll get into this more later, it's actually really important. And this is where most people go wrong. They follow generic money advice that wasn't meant for their situation. And I made this mistake myself and I ended up saving more than I needed to because I was following money advice that wasn't aligned to my financial situation. Somebody who's in debt shouldn't be saving 20%, and somebody who's financially stable doesn't need to save aggressively. You need to know your season to know your number. Comment below and let me know what season you're in. I'm genuinely curious to know. So now that we know how much you should save, let's get into the framework so you can calculate your exact number. The saving spectrum. So here's the framework I wish I knew earlier because it would have given me clarity and helped me reach my goal faster. Level 1 is stability. This is where you're focused on saving 5% of your income. This is for you if you're paying off debt, you are living paycheck to paycheck, you're trying to manage your bills, or you're new to budgeting. Your only goal here is to get stable. Saving 5% is a win. Anything more is a bonus. Level 2 is progress. This is where you're focused on saving 10 to 15% of your income. This is for you if you're focused on building your full emergency fund, building sinking funds for holidays or a wedding, or getting organized with your money. This is where savings actually starts to feel good and provides security. Level 3 is growth. This is where you're focused on saving 20 to 30% of your income. This is for you if you're saving for a property deposit or another short-term goal or building your financial future. This is where your money actually starts working for you. And to be honest, you shouldn't be saving any more than that. And I'll get into why later because it can actually be dangerous. Whichever level you're at, please don't leave your savings sitting in a basic bank account. You want to ensure that you're using a high yield interest savings account so your savings earns interest while you sleep. You want to ensure the account is easy to access in case you need it and doesn't incur penalties or fees. You can check websites like Money Saving Expert or USwitch to get the best deals. Around a 3 to 4% interest rate is competitive at the time of recording this video. If you're at level 3, so you're saving for growth, and you don't need the savings for more than a year, I suggest using a fixed high interest savings account. So now that you know the framework, let's calculate your savings rate using a real life example. How to calculate your savings rate. Here's how to work out your exact number step by step. Step 1, take your net income. This is the exact money that hits your account on payday. Step 2, deduct your essential expenses. This is your rent or mortgage payments, food, utilities, groceries, anything you need to pay for to survive each month. Step 3, look at your goals. Are you saving for an emergency fund or a house deposit? Step 4, determine your season and choose your savings rate from the framework I gave you earlier. Now, let me show you what this looks like with a real life example. Let's say Aaliyah earns 50k and her take home pay is £3,300 monthly. First, let's deduct her essential expenses. This consists of things like rent, groceries, bills, which is £2,200 a month, and groceries are £350 a month. Her non-essentials include eating out, which is £250 a month, and shopping, which is £350 a month. So her total expenses is £3,100 a month, and her surplus, which is the money left over after she's deducted all of her expenses from her income, is £200. Now £200 may not seem like a lot, but it's enough to get started. This is why it's important to have a budget because you need to know your numbers. Let's say Aaliyah was starting from zero and she wanted to save £5,000 for her emergency fund. At £200 a month, that's going to take her over 2 years, which is a long time. But you can speed it up and we'll get into that next. How to save faster. If you want to speed up your savings, something has to change, either your income or your expenses. Here's what actually moves the needle. Number 1, reduce the big 3. That's housing, food, and transportation. This takes up the biggest chunk of most people's budget, so finding room to save in this area will free up a lot of cash. So ask yourself these questions. Can I move to a cheaper neighborhood? Can I get a roommate? Can I shop at a cheaper grocery store? Can I use public transport more? Number 2, reduce discretionary spending. This is things like eating out, drinks, theatre, cinema, entertainment. You don't have to cut it out forever, but just reduce it temporarily. For example, if Aaliyah cut her £350 shopping budget in half, she'd instantly free up £175. That's over 75% more saved each month. Number 3, make more money. Most people reach their goals by making more money, not by cutting back. There's a limit to how much you can cut back to where things start to get uncomfortable, but there's no limit to how much you can make. So can you take on freelance gigs, start a side hustle, sell unwanted clothes or shoes? This is one of the things that I did when I was trying to get my finances in order. I had a lot of unused clothes and shoes, so I sold them on eBay and I funneled all of that extra money into my savings, because more income equals more savings. So now that we know how to save faster, let's get into some of the things that can actually hold you back from saving. The danger zones. These are things that quietly drain people's savings. Number 1, buy now, pay later. This essentially encourages you to buy things that you can't afford, which can lead to you getting into debt. Credit card minimum payments. You get into the habit of just making the minimum payment each month. You pay £60, but £45 of that is actually going just towards interest. Lifestyle creep. You earn more, so you start spending more. So you don't have any additional money to save each month. High interest debt. It eats up your money faster than you can save it. I'd say high interest rate debt is probably the worst because the interest rate is so high. So if you pay this off as soon as possible, you'll have more money to save each month. So focus on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first. It's like giving yourself a guaranteed 24% return on your investment. If you don't address these, you'll constantly feel bad with money, when the reality is you probably just picked up some bad money habits. Now, speaking of bad money habits, let's get into why oversaving can actually be dangerous. The danger of oversaving. Now let's talk about something that people don't talk about often enough: oversaving. This is something I see all the time, especially with women, and it's a problem because if you leave too much money sitting in your bank account, inflation can quietly eat at it, which reduces your buying power. Savings feels safe, but it doesn't build wealth. You can save thousands, but still fall behind if you're not putting that money to work for you. And I know this because I made this mistake myself. I once saved over £50,000 and I felt proud seeing that money sitting in my bank account. But once I took a step back and looked at my goals, I realized something painful. Leaving that money in my savings account wasn't helping me get there. Why? Because saving didn't make my money grow, it just sat there. If I had taken half of that money and invested it in an index fund at an 8% return, in a year it would have grown by £2,000 just by having it in the right place. Oversaving kept me comfortable, investing moved me forward. So yes, figure out how much you need to save for your season, then once you reach your goal, move on to investing. Now, let's get into the savings framework. The 5-step saving framework. Here's the framework I still use today because it works at any income level. Number 1, choose a savings goal, but be clear and specific. Don't just say, I want to save my emergency fund. Say, I want to save £5,000 for my emergency fund in a year. Number 2, break it down. Once you know how much you need to save, break it down and figure out how much you need to save each month and add it to your budget. Small steps reduce overwhelm. Number 3, decide your season. Are you in stability, progress, or growth? That will determine how much you need to be saving. Number 4, automate your savings. You never want to have to rely on willpower or discipline. As soon as payday hits, transfer your chosen amount to a high interest savings account so you don't even have to think about it. You want to remove friction and make it easy. Number 5, review your savings every 3 to 6 months. Your money changes, so you want to reflect that in your budget. Saving becomes easy when you align it with your goals. And if you want help tracking your progress, I have a free savings tracker that I'll link below in the description box, and you can grab a copy completely for free. So the real question isn't how much should I save, it's what season am I in and what am I working towards. That will determine how much you should save. And if you want to reach a specific goal faster, check out my video on how to save 10k effortlessly. I go a bit deeper and break everything down step by step. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more videos on money and building wealth. And remember, stay rich in mindset and the money will follow. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.